Mike, let's just talk briefly about how cognitive behavioral therapy, what we think, affects feelings and actions in regard to depression. So maybe what are your thoughts on that idea?
We are an integrated system, and our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions feed off one another. But we do carry around in our head things that aren't true. Cognitive behavioral therapy sorts out those thoughts that aren't true, confronts them, clarifies them, teaches you how to do that for yourself going down the road, how to question your own, does this actually make sense? And again, just because you think it doesn't make it real. And what do I see other people do? And am I really that different than other people that I'm observing? One thing that can help a person stop those negative self-destructive thoughts is to review with them what they had thought in the past. And so they may have had cleaner, healthier, positive thinking in the past before life handed them the hard things that are going on. And when you take somebody back to how you used to function with more resilience, then that can push that resilience button. They know that the same person they are, they're having all this negative thoughts, dealt with some very tough things in the past. Childhood, a child going through divorce, yes, that can build resilience. It's a sad thing. It's a loss. It's a grief they'll adjust to with and work on the rest of their life. But it does, build resilience because they know they survived it. Or it may be the loss of a childhood friend that moved away in the height of when friendships were so vitally important to them. And then that's gone. And they had a hard time having another friendship, but they survived it. And a lot of times when soldiers come back and they have post-traumatic stress disorder, they endured some very tough things in combat, you want to look back before they even entered the military. How did they have marks and times where they were very resilient to tough life events? And that helps build up that correct thinking versus the faulty thinking.
Right. I can't get through this. This is the end of the world. I'll never see the other side of this. Exactly. Or whatever. And you say, but let's take a look.
There you go.
You survived a pretty nasty divorce with mom and dad. Yeah. You had some pretty tough days in high school. Now here you are. If you were in combat, you watched men die. Now here you are. So
yeah. And it's also very important that we don't minimize other people's stresses and other people's difficulties. I had the privilege of working with a ministry leader once who was, by accident, his daughter died in his care. Oh. And probably 2 years after that, and the whole community knew all about it, probably 2 years after that, I was given a talk on depression at a church. And that gentleman was also there talking. And he got up in front of everyone and he said, everyone in town knows my story about my daughter's death. And for me, that's my tragedy. But when your 13-year-old girl comes home from school and her boyfriend has embarrassed her in front of all the kids and dumped her, that's her personal tragedy. Don't minimize it. You don't have to be a combat soldier or a street cop, or you don't have to have been mugged in a parking deck to have trauma, to have severe cumulative trauma. Everybody has traumatic life experiences, and people deal with it differently. Some people manage it more successfully than others, but don't minimize it to them or in your own mind.
Yeah, so I think that's I think that's so insightful, Mike, because a lot of people say, well, I don't understand why you're depressed. That wouldn't depress me.
That's right.
That dismissive, then that actually creates another stinking thinking in the depressed person. Not only am I depressed, everybody around me thinks my depression is irrational, which really makes me
And I think a lot of people get that message from others.
Well, that's that. Then just simple kindness and listening and attunement to where people really are, what's really going on in their head. I think sometimes we're surprised if we don't if we're not, because we don't listen carefully enough.
When people say, "How is it going?" they don't always really want to know.
They often don't want to know, and even if they do want to know, they don't have time to know, and thus the reason for close relationships where you can actually process what you're thinking.